Okay. Let's see. Participants. Okay. Sorry, just trying to find my. Okay. All right, perfect. So I won't be able to see chat or anything while this is going on, but can everyone see my screen? Yes, good. Okay, cool. All right, so welcome. I'm talking tonight about using busyness to build your business because I feel like that is something that it became this big excuse in my life for a long time about just being really busy and getting really overwhelmed and wanting to be a business builder, but not knowing how to balance everything and how to do it in the right way. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Sarah. I have 3 kids, well, now one of them just turned 5. So I guess a 5-year-old, a 3-year-old, and a 16-month-old. I'm a full-time graphic designer for Disney, and I became a coach officially in August of 2014 and probably started actively coaching about in October of 2014. And my little team is called the North Star Fitness Project. So I feel like that I always ask this question now, if you find yourself constantly busy but not being productive, like I don't know if any of you feel like this, where at the end of the day, you just feel like you were busy all day long, but you don't know what you got done. And you look back and you're like, well, what did I even do? I didn't get anything on my to-do list done, but I was busy. I didn't even have time to sit down. So I found this quote I thought was really funny, that it's not enough to be busy because ants are busy. The question is, what are we busy about? And how are you spending your time? So I thought I would share with you all what my typical 24 hours looks like. This isn't every day, but this is like my day on a work week. So in the morning, about an hour and a half, that includes showering, breakfast, and getting all of my kids ready. And then taking them to school. I have 2 hours combined. Well, I have 8 hours of working in a day, 2 hours combined with dropping off to school, dropping off at my in-laws to watch the kids, commuting to work, picking them up, coming back home. All of that takes me about 2 hours any given day. About 2.5 hours when we get home is dinner, bath, and bedtime routine, and finally getting the kids asleep and getting them in their beds. And then I try to get 7 hours of sleep, but we all know that doesn't always happen. And then there's probably a 1-hour buffer for anything that might run long. So that total of my day is 22 hours. So what's left is 2 hours. And into all of that, I want to spend time with my husband, go to the bathroom, eat, prepare food, work out, do personal development, invite, challenge groups, breathe, and all of that. And so when you try and say, I only have 2 hours to do all of these things, you want to say, I'm too busy to get all of this done, and just, not even know where to start. So how do you get it done? I really started looking at this when I wanted to get serious with business building, and like, okay, I'm going to be busy. That's not going to change. My kids are not going to be completely self-sufficient for a few more years. So I just either need to get used to this and deal with it and figure out the best way to do it, or else my business was never going to go anywhere. So if you see on the left-hand side, I have what my day is, what I just went over with you. And then on the right-hand side, what I do or what I try and do in ways that I can find more time in a day while I'm still doing exactly the same thing that I have to do every day. So waking up before my kids to get in some of my vitals, that's an hour that I could get in. Using my phone, which I use for a majority of my business, during my lunch, during breaks at work, in between meetings, when I'm running around, if I'm waiting for another meeting to begin, I'll pop on my phone for 5 or 10 minutes. So maybe that's 30 minutes to an hour throughout the day. I've started doing all of my personal development in the car. So I spend time getting audiobooks, podcasts, webinars, anything that I can stream to my phone and play while I'm driving. And that's 2 hours every single day, which adds up to, 10 hours a week at least, which is way more than the 20 minutes that everyone, says that you should get in a day for personal development. Swapping out, my husband does a really good job with this anyway, but just being more intentional about asking for help and saying, okay, 2 nights a week, you're going to handle all of the bath and all of the bedtime. And then the other 3 nights, I'll handle that. And we kind of switch off and play these roles and take turns doing the things, which my husband does anyway, but it's always nice to kind of like lay it out on maybe there's specific days that you want to do it. Sleep. Sacrifice a little, but not too much. I can survive on 5 hours, but I don't prefer to. So I don't always like to go into my sleep, but if I have to do anything, I usually do end up sacrificing sleep because it's a lot easier for me to stay up late when everyone's asleep, and I can kind of get in my me time. And then before I know it, it's like 2:30 in the morning. And then I always keep a buffer for my hours that are going to run long. So just by doing that, I've now gained 6.5 hours in a day. And that's my new total. So instead of saying I only have 2 hours in a day to do all of these things, now all of a sudden you have 6.5 hours in a day to do all of these things. And you don't even need to spend 6.5 hours doing Beachbody. But the point is, you can. So power hours. I know that this has been talked about a lot, but I think the most important thing about a power hour is focusing on behaviors that are going to move your business forward and create results and not anything else. So while you all might want a pretty blog header or, to do something cute and fancy with a new recipe that you found, you don't have time for that. You don't have time for that right now. Your power hour is what is dedicated to things that are going to help drive income, that are going to help drive challenges, that are going to help push your business forward. I can't do a power hour in an hour. I can't sit down, and I don't have the time to sit down and actually do a power hour in one straight hour. So I use the nooks and crannies of my day to work on it. So I'll end up doing my power hour, making my list, going off my checklist, but I do it throughout the day. And if you are not using a tracker or a checklist, you need to stop everything right now and put it on your list and print something out, because that's what you need to do. I mean, you have to use a tracker and a checklist. It doesn't need to be this one. This is the Revitalize Your Business. If you were in any of the Revitalize groups that were going on the last couple of months, this is something Lindsay Matway made. I think Becca might have it in our files. If not, I can put it in there. But it's your daily checklist. It's basically your power hour right there of you can build your power hour based on what is there in your checklist. So if you don't want to use something like that, you can make a list of everything that you want to get done, right? So maybe at the beginning of the day or the night before, you make a list of everything that you want to do. What I like to do is I star the things that I need to focus and be alone, have my alone time with in order to complete. So that might be things like crafting a coach invite post, or doing something for my next challenge group to get an invite to that. But something where I need to sit and where I want to maybe be more vulnerable and really share parts of my story, and maybe it's a little bit of a longer post. So that's what I save for my prime time when I'm not going to have kids or distractions. And all the rest of them I do in the other nooks and crannies of my day. So 5 minutes here and there sprinkled throughout the day. So if it was something, a dinner that I made, or I'm sharing a recipe, or I wanted to share a little fun kid tip or something like that that's really quick and easy that literally can take less than 5 minutes. I can just do that. I just do that throughout the day. And that's okay. It's totally okay to break things up throughout the day. You just need to do them. You just have to make sure in your 24-hour day, this gets done at some point. And then I have another separate list for other projects that I would like to do, but they're not immediately needed, and they're not necessarily things that are going to drive my business forward, but they're things that would help maybe up my business. So on that list for me personally, which I want to do before the new year, is starting a blog and getting that up and running. So just things like that you really have to sit down and like dedicate time to, but that you don't want to take out of your business driving activities. So I wanted to share with you guys some things that I use. I know everyone's different. Everyone has different things that work and systems that work for them. But there's just a million apps and a million things out there. So I thought, well, I'll share this is what works for me, and this is what I use. So for one, checklists and a tracker. So one of my, so Savannah had told me about this great little timer app called 30/30, where you can actually like put a checklist in there and it'll time it for you. So if you want to like dedicate certain amounts of time to certain things, you put that in there and you can make your list. So you could basically build your power hour right in there and really dedicate time to what I want to spend 10 minutes doing this. I'm going to spend 10 minutes returning all my messages. And then you're on a time limit versus if you just sit and you have, I could sit down at a computer for 3 hours before I go to bed, and if I don't have a list of something I'm working on, then I'll just end up doing mindless things. And next thing you know, like I said, it's 2:30 in the morning and I don't know what I did. Evernote, I'm still working on learning this, but I really love it so far. And I love it because I can link it between all of my devices. So I use it on my phone, my iPad, my work laptop, because I have a separate like work checklist in there, and then my iMac at home, and it links everything. So if I update a checklist on one, it updates it on all of them. If I check something off on one, it checks it off on all of them. If you're saving a picture in there, or you're saving a link to something you found, you can save everything in there in your notebooks. So, and then you can also share your notebooks with people. So you could send, if you were making a list you want to share with your success partners, or making something that you want to share with your challenge groups, that you can share it with people. For collages, I use Instagram all the time. So Instagram has an app called Layout, where you can pick, you can pick, 2, 3, 4, 5, however many pictures you want. It'll make a collage for you that you can easily adjust. And you can adjust the picture sizes and photo sizes, and then do your editing and stuff right in there. Excuse me. But I like that, and it's easy to use. And then I have an iPhone, so I don't know how this works on like the other phones, Galaxies and Androids and all of those, but I have a photo stream specifically dedicated to Beachbody that I don't share with anyone. I just share it with myself. So anytime that I like if I'm doing something on my home computer, but it was from a picture that I took on my phone, and I don't want to like email it to myself to then download it to then do the posts from my computer, I'll just put my Beachbody stuff on my photo stream, and then my photo stream can be accessed from all my devices. So I can grab any pictures that I want. And then it also makes it easier because all my photos that I want to use for Beachbody stuff are all contained in one place and not mixed in with like the millions of other pictures that I'm taking all day long. For my photo editing, I'm a graphic designer. So like I used to, when I very first started this, do everything in Photoshop. I'd bring it in, I'd like spend all this time, I'd like put my copy over the top, I'd make this like really great thing, save this JPEG, put it in a folder on my computer, and it took so long. I spent way too much time doing this stuff, when Becca was always saying, done is better than perfect. So I started doing a lot more on my phone. And now, I mean, with all the apps out there, you can basically be a graphic designer really easily. So I use Afterlight to do my actual photo editing, where I can like brighten them up. They have a bunch of different filters on there, but then they also have where you can go in and do like lighting, exposure, temperature. Like you can do a lot more detailed things that you can also kind of do in Photoshop. And then Facetune is basically kind of like Photoshop, where you can go in and you can edit, like if you had, if you had a big breakout on your face, but you're trying to like do a nice after shot and you just didn't want this big zit showing up in your thing, you can go and use Facetune and you can actually like edit it out. So it's pretty cool and really quick and easy to do. And then you can do your editing in Facetune. You can also bring it into Afterlight after that. So you can kind of mix and match between the programs, but I kind of keep it to those two. And then adding text to my photos, I use WordSwag probably 80% of the time. And WordSwag is great because it basically does a type lockup on whatever you want to write. And there's a bunch of different ideas for it. So like you can put a quote in there. You can put just one word. You can make it any color that you want. You can change the transparency. It has a lot of really cool type lockups. A beautiful mess is kind of fun because, you see the little pug dog here with like talk bubble. You can do fun things like that. Like there's talk bubbles, there's little scribble doodles in there. So it's a little bit more organic looking, whereas WordSwag is a little bit more about the type itself. And then Over is another app where you can just put type over the top. And it has a couple other font options that are different than WordSwag. WordSwag takes the fonts and like adjusts sizes so it all fits into like a really nice lockup, whereas Over is more just like text over your photo in a font that you choose. A time-saving tip that I have started doing is always taking multiple photos of anything and everything that you're doing, so you continually have content to pull from. So fitness, food, outdoors, kids, pets, Shakeology, whatever it is, doesn't mean that you need to post it right that moment. You don't even need to post it that day. You could I'll sometimes be working on making this meal, and I'll do some close-up shots of like all my Brussels sprouts cut up, and then I'll maybe do a picture of like my cutting board and all my ingredients, and then I'll do something like my finished product bowl. Well, I may not use all of those, but I may use one to talk about the actual recipe itself, maybe another one like a week or two later that actually, talks about what Brussels sprouts are and how they're good for you, and asking for people to comment with recipes and that kind of thing. So you can, and same thing, Becca does kind of the same thing too when she's doing like her paddleboarding pictures. She said she goes and she takes a bunch out there, and then she can use them kind of sprinkled throughout to sort of create your brand and your consistency, but not necessarily always having to be like, yikes, I've only got one post in today, what can I post about? And trying to figure out what you can go take a picture of to like write about. So you kind of just have this ongoing capsule of things to pull from so that you're not constantly having, because, thinking of content and creating content takes time. Well, if you have just photos that you can choose from and pick what you want to talk about that day, then you don't, that's less time that you have to spend actually taking a picture and setting everything up. I also use my Mac stickies. I don't know, it's a little app, or not an app. It's just like stickies. This is when I'm just working on my computer. Oh, sorry. But that's kind of where I've started I keep really basic track of like, if I have a Success Club goal, I'll write it down. If I have people that I knew were interested for that month, this one's a little old, of course, but like if I had people I knew that were interested, I just kind of make a running list of the people's names. And then when I'm like, you can kind of see on the bottom, I have like who I was connecting with and forming with, and like the date I followed up with them, when I sent a message, like just to help me keep track. Because sometimes, you send a bunch of messages out and then you can't remember, and then you try and go back and look and then you realize, oh gosh, it's been like 3 weeks since I should have followed up. So that's just something that kind of helps helps me just keep track of everything that's happening. And then I use Google Drive all the time. So if you're not using Google Drive to save all of your files, you need to start using something similar to it. So it's basically like the cloud that, and I think our team, Becca keeps a lot of files on there too now, because then you're not stuck if something crashes, or like if I'm out in the car. I mean, there's even an app on my phone that I can get to Google Drive. I can get to Google Drive from my phone, so I can get there. I have access to all of my, you can see here, I have like a folder for challenge groups. I have a folder for all my team calls. I have a folder for my logos. I have a folder for training groups, for coaching sneak peeks. So I have everything sort of organized in there. And then for me, like in my challenge group files, I keep it by year. And I started doing this because I started coaching like at the end of a year, and I figured all through 2015, and I keep in there all of my, any special things I did for that month. And then all of my banners that I made for my Facebook page, I keep everything in there, because then like next year I can go back and I can reuse them for the following month. And then it's kind of something new every month for my challengers anyway. So I also like using it just because then it's accessible from every single device that I have. And I never have to worry about not being able to post in any of my challenge group files because I don't have access to them, because they're like on my home computer. I can have access to them from anywhere. And then this isn't really a time-saving tip, but it's just a tip in general, that if you don't have a success partner or a success partner group, then you absolutely need to find one like yesterday. Really, because you need to find a group of people that you connect with and that will help hold you accountable. Because I wouldn't have been able to grow my business if I didn't have the support. I mean, you have your coach, of course, and you have the larger team, but when you have this like smaller group of people that you can go to with quick questions, that you can share ideas with, that you can say, hey, you need to make sure that I post today about this because I need to. And then, 3 hours later, they'll put a message up and say, you didn't post yet. What are you doing? So, yes, find your success partners, because that will absolutely help your business, like 100%. I didn't put the app up here, but we use WhatsApp, to do it, because you can do voice chats, you can do text, you can send pictures, you can do that. And so I'm like talking with them all day long, while I'm working, while I'm like at home. It's great. And then you can go back to it, and respond back. And it's so nice to, like, I come out of a meeting and I have like this week, I think, I came out of my meeting, I was like not by my phone for a couple of hours, and I had 50 messages on my WhatsApp from my success partners. So that was really fun to catch up on. But it's great. So find success partners, because that will really, really help you out. So sacrifices. This is something we all have to make sacrifices. I can't stress this enough, that, you can't think that you're going to make this huge change in your life overnight. You're going to have to sacrifice something so that you can come out ahead in the long run. So you have to look at what you're willing to cut out short term that will benefit you more long term. So for me, I cut out television. I didn't even do this on purpose. I just started working on Beachbody stuff. And then the next thing you knew, our DVR was full. My husband was like, can I delete all these shows because they're from last year? And I had like 10 shows of 10 episodes, and I just had way too much TV to catch up on. And so I just stopped watching it. I just was working on other things. I actually didn't even miss it. Of course, I have like my one or two shows that I like that I will watch, but I'll like catch up on them whenever. Sometimes I catch up with them at the end of the season. Extracurriculars. So for us, like, we play volleyball one night a week, which is really fun. And it's kind of like a family thing for us to go and do. We play with some other couples and stuff, and they bring their kids. So, but we would do it every week. And you know, I now go maybe like once every 3 weeks because like I'll stay at home with the kids, or I want to stay here. Like I stayed here tonight. Like my husband's out playing tonight, but I stayed here so I could do beach body work and stuff. And then mindless internet browsing. We all do it. I use Chrome now, which has a kill the newsfeed button, so that you can click on. So it will kill your Facebook newsfeed until you choose otherwise. So if you actually need to go in there and do work and don't want to get like stuck in this constant like scroll of like, what is everyone doing? Because that will like suck you in. I mean, you know that. You all know that, okay? Don't lie. And then going out to eat. We used to go out to eat, I wouldn't say a lot, and especially now that we have 3 kids, it just makes it a little bit more difficult. But we just don't do it anymore. If we do it, it's more like special, or we get like takeout and bring it home or get something like that. But we don't do that anymore, because you think about, we went out to eat actually this week because we had family in town, and it's like, it took up like 4 hours of our bar night, just like getting there and dealing with the kids and waiting for the food and getting the check and then coming home. So that was something that helped like save hours so that we could sacrifice that to spend more time on this. So my life a year and a half ago was 2 kids, still working full time, 2 to 3 hours of TV a night. Like literally, that was like I love that. Like coming home, putting my pajamas on, staying with my husband, and we got to watch all of our shows. All I did was run maybe 2 or 3 times a week. And then I did freelance design work like 10 to 20 hours a week, which doesn't pay all that well for the time that you put into it and the money you spend on, like, I was printing out like wedding invitations and things like that. So money I spent on that and putting them together and all of that, my return on investment was very small for the amount of time it was taking away from my family. And I was busy. So today, still, I added a kid, maybe 2 to 3 hours of TV a week, still like put in 30 minutes of workouts. I'm now able to say no to things that are taking away from my priorities. And I'm still busy. I'm really busy. I'm busier today, yet I get more done and I have more time with my family and I bring in more income. So don't think that just because you're busy, you're not going to be able to make this business into something bigger. Because I think, in fact, it's the exact opposite. Being a busy person means that you're able to prioritize more, you're able to figure out what's important, you're able to get things done because you're busy and you don't have a choice. So the bottom line is being confident in yourself and showing how you make the business work. If you're busy and you want to show people that you can still make this a business, then you need to show that. You need to share that. You need to be sharing about it on Facebook. You need to be talking about it. Like, I talk about Beachbody all the time with people at work. And, they're just like, I just don't know how you have time to do all this stuff. And I make it, I talk about like all the great things that are about it. And so now it's like at work, they know me as like the Beachbody lady, But if you can't show that you can make this business work while being busy, then you can't expect to attract people to want that same thing. And if you're constantly thinking about how hard it is because you're so busy, people are not going to want to join you. No one is going to do this work for you. So you have to think about where you want to be in 6 months, where you want to be in a year, and where you want to be in 5 years. Your business success is 100% dependent on what you are willing to be put into it. That's it, nothing else. It's what you are going to put into your business is what your business is going to get back to you. So before you tell yourself that you're too busy, flip the switch and use that to build your business. And discipline, I heard this at Summit, and I always think it's really great, is that discipline trumps talent. So it doesn't matter how good you are at anything. If you're not disciplined about it, it's not going to go anywhere. So just remember that even in your busyness, that you can make this happen. So let's see here. That is